the child wandered where the pines grew thick, too curious to stay close to the cabin.
What was that sound?
From the ferns, a shadow materialized. Not a dog, not a house cat, a wild, muscular shape with tufted ears.
Don't move. Don't even breathe.
The bobcat stared, golden eyes unblinking. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it sank back into the green and was gone. Emily's legs unlocked. She ran, not looking back until the cabin porch came into view.
Grandpa, there's something in the woods. A big cat with spots. It looked right at me.
Easy, Emmy. You are safe now. Tell me slow. What did it look like?
It had pointy ears and yellow eyes. It was so quiet, Grandpa. Then it just vanished.
That old bobcat. He stays deep in the woods. Showed himself today, did he? He's lived in these woods longer than I have. That cat minds his own business, and you must mind yours.
Inside, Grandmother had heard the commotion. She wrapped Emily in a quilt and sat her by the window.
Some things are meant to stay wild, sweetheart. That doesn't make them dangerous. It just means we keep our distance.
But what if he wasn't trying to scare me? What if he was just looking?
That question hung in the air. Grandfather said nothing, just squeezed her shoulder.
Maybe he's not a monster. Maybe he's just alone.
That night, Emily sat by the window, watching the dark line of trees until her eyelids grew heavy.
Grandma, can I go back to the woods tomorrow? Not near the bobcat, just to look.
If you stay on the path and don't go past the clearing, and you tell us the moment you feel scared.
Emily nodded, but inside she was already thinking of those yellow eyes. Not with fear now, but with a strange, quiet pull. The next morning, Emily walked the path again, her sandals crunching on dry pine needles as the clearing opened before her.
It's here, watching me. I can feel it.
A flicker of movement in the ferns, the bobcat half hidden, its amber eyes locked on her.
Don't run. Don't even breathe too loud. Just sit.
Slowly, she lowered herself onto the mossy log, pulled her knees to her chest, and made herself small. The bobcat did not flee. It stood frozen, ears forward, its whole body a question.
He's not running. He's deciding.
A full minute passed. The bird songs returned, and still they sat, girl and wildcat, held in a silent negotiation. Then, the bobcat took one backward step into the ferns, then another, but its eyes never left her until the green swallowed it whole.
I'll come back. He let me stay.
Over the following weeks, Emily slipped into the woods each morning, returning quieter each time.
You've been in the woods so much, little one. Here, a place to keep what you find.
That afternoon, on the porch, she sketched the bobcat. Tufted ears, watchful stance, unblinking gold eyes.
That's him. Remember, Emmy, wild things stay wild because we let them. That's the bargain.
Then I'll keep being quiet. I'll keep the bargain.
On the last afternoon, she sat on the porch, watching the tree line. No eyes appeared, but the stillness felt like a promise. The next morning, her parents arrived. Emily packed slowly, the sketchbook tucked against her chest.
We'll see you next summer, Emmy. The woods will wait.
I'll be back. I have to be.
As the car pulled away, she watched the tree line shrink to a green smudge on the horizon. A year later, Emily was 8. The cabin welcomed her with the same creak of the porch, but her eyes were already on the tree line. She slipped into the woods before unpacking, straight to the clearing, and climbed onto the mossy log. But the woods stayed still. No rustle, no golden stare. The ferns held nothing but shadow.
What if he doesn't remember? What if he's gone?
For 3 mornings she returned, and each afternoon the log felt heavier. Then, on the 4th day, the ferns whispered open. The bobcat emerged, a dusting of silver on his muzzle, a scar on his muzzle, a scar on his shoulder. He paused, amber eyes boring into hers.
He came back. He remembered.
The wildcat crossed to the far end of the log and settled in the sunlight, exactly as before.
Every summer. He'll be here every summer. That's our deal.
From that day, The wait was no longer a fear, but a ritual. She knew he'd return when he was ready. The waiting was its own kind of promise. By 10, Emily had dog-eared pages on bobcats in every book from the cabin shelf.
They're supposed to be alone, Grandma. They don't even like their own kind, except to mate.
That's their way. And some wild things just watch from a distance. You can't hold what won't be held.
But the thought had already rooted. The next day in the clearing, she did not sit on the log.
Just a step closer. He won't mind. He knows me.
She inched forward. The bobcat's ears flattened. A low, guttural growl rumbled from its throat. It wasn't a roar, just a warning, clear as a slammed door. The bobcat backed into the shade.
He's telling me no. He's still wild.
She retreated to the log, her cheeks burning. The bobcat remained at the edge, watching. That evening on the porch, she understood. Their bond wasn't a leash, it was a line, and she must never cross it. 2 summers later. At 12, Emily noticed a dark curve half buried in pine needles beside the log. She lifted it carefully, turning the claw in the light. It was sharp, smooth, and entirely wild. She ran back to the cabin, clutching the find, and found her grandfather on the porch.
Grandpa, look. I found a claw by the log. It has to be the bobcat's, right?
Shed clean. They lose 'em like we lose teeth. Means he's sharpening for the hunt. I saw him once, years before you were born. A young cat then, already watching this cabin.
Emily looked past him to the tree line. The bobcat had been part of this place long before her first summer.
He doesn't need us, Emmy. Never has. But he tolerates you. That means something.
Emily tucked the claw into her pocket, its weight a small anchor to something older than herself.
He was here before me. He'll be here after. I am just a summer in his life.
At 13, she opened a new journal, its first page already dated. She would record every sighting that summer. That afternoon, the bobcat appeared with a fresh scar slicing through his left eyebrow. She drew it carefully.
Time is marking him. And it's marking me.
Back at the cabin, she saw her grandmother struggle to lift a heavy pot and her grandfather asleep on the porch long before supper.
They're getting older, and I can't stop it, any more than I can stop the seasons.
Don't you mind us slowing down, Emmy? The woods don't age the same way.
But that summer, each hour in the clearing felt heavier, the silence between them thick with all the summers that had come before.
He's been here so many summers. How many does he have left?
She wrote that question in the journal, then closed it, unable to bear the answer. When she looked up, the bobcat had already vanished, the clearing sinking into a blue dusk. A gunshot cracked the afternoon quiet, too close to the clearing. Emily's heart lurched.
Number. No, not him. Please, not him.
She burst into the clearing. The log sat in still, empty light. No bobcat, just the echo fading.
He was here. I know he was right here. Where did he go?
For 2 days, she returned, sitting hours on the log. The ferns held only silence.
He's gone. I should have stopped it somehow. I should have been here.
On the 3rd morning, just as she stood to leave, the ferns parted. The bobcat limped into the sun.
You are okay. You are okay. He survived. He'll heal. He's still here.
The bobcat settled at the far end of the log, licking its leg. Emily didn't move closer. She just breathed. She returned at dawn. But the clearing wasn't empty. A shadow with a rifle stood at the far tree line.
He came back. That gunshot was his. He's searching for the bobcat. I have to stop him. But what can a kid do against a man with a rifle?
She took a breath, stepped into the clearing, and called out before fear could stop her.
Stop. This is a state wildlife research zone. There are cameras in those trees watching you right now. If you fire that rifle, you'll be on record. You'll lose your hunting license and face charges.
The man stared, rifle drooping. He couldn't see any cameras, but he couldn't see that there weren't any either. He swore under his breath, shouldered his rifle, and retreated into the dark pines. Emily stood rooted until the forest fell silent. She was trembling, but her voice had held. In the ferns behind her, the bobcat watched with solemn gold eyes, silent as a witness. The next morning, Emily walked to the clearing, heart still hammering from the day before. The clearing was not empty. On the mossy log, facing the tree line, the bobcat sat like a sentinel.
He's not hiding, he's waiting for me.
She moved slowly, testing the air, but the bobcat did not flinch. Its eyes followed her without threat. Quietly, she eased onto the far end of the log. Not 8 feet away, the wildcat remained, a living statue.
He's letting me stay. Not just watching, sharing.
The bobcat's eyes, old and golden, blinked slowly once, then twice. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Emily pressed a hand to her mouth, tears sliding down her cheeks. The bobcat did not look away.
This is enough. This is more than enough.
They stayed that way as the morning sun climbed higher. Girl and wildcat, guardians of the same log, holding the silence together. By 14, Emily had filled 2 journals. Each entry began with a sketch of the bobcat, waiting at the log. Now, the bobcat rested below her log, a few feet away, its side gently rising and falling in the sun.
He trusts me enough to sleep. I've never touched him, and I never will. This is our language.
She had given him a silent name, scribbled in the margin. Sage. But that summer, the cabin held a heavy stillness. Her grandfather no longer came to the porch.
Your grandmother says you are still visiting that old cat. Don't stop now.
He got a new scar over his eye, and I chased off a poacher last year, lied about cameras and everything.
You sound like the keeper of the woods.
Emily squeezed his hand. She'd never thought of herself that way, but she felt the name settle over her shoulders. That night, she wrote a single line in her journal. To keep the wild, you must first learn to keep still. The summer she turned 15. The clearing was no longer quiet. High-pitched squeaks and rustles came from the ferns. She peeked around a pine trunk. 2 bobcat kittens, a tiny female and a smaller male, tumbled over each other in a patch of sun, pouncing on a falling leaf.
They're hers. Sage has a family.
A short distance away, the mother bobcat lay in the ferns, her amber eyes shifting between the kittens and Emily. A low chuff came from the mother, not a growl, but a warning. Emily took a slow step back, and the bobcat's ears relaxed. From then on, Emily took a perch farther from the log. The kittens grew bolder, chasing moths and stalking imaginary prey. At dusk, she sketched the 3 of them. The mother's watchful gaze, the kittens mid-pounce.
She's not just my wild companion. She's a mother, a provider, a life I'll never fully know.
One morning, the mother led the kittens on a hunt. The little female crouched low, mimicking her mother's stalk. The male pounced too soon and tumbled into a fern. Emily didn't laugh. She just pressed the moment into memory, knowing this was a glimpse of a world that would never belong to her. The summer Emily turned 16, her grandfather could no longer lift his head without help. The bed had become his world.
Tell me about your cat, Emmy. Does he still come to the log?
He has kittens now, Grandpa. 2 little ones. He still watches me from the log, but he's a mother now.
Some things are meant to be wild, but that doesn't mean you can't love them from a distance.
His hand moved slowly to the nightstand and closed around a small wooden box, polished smooth by years.
Take this. You'll know when to use it.
Emily cradled the box, its weight dense and warm, but she didn't open it.
What's inside?
He only patted her hand and closed his eyes. The lesson was the box, not the contents.
He's giving me a duty. He can't speak aloud. Something for the woods. Something for later.
The summer after her grandfather died, Emily drove up the dirt road alone. The porch swing hung still. No one sat there. Grandmother was too frail for the journey. She carried the small wooden box into the woods, the path heavier than it had ever been. At the clearing, she sat on the mossy log and placed the box beside her. The air was thick with waiting. After a long silence, the ferns shivered. An old shape emerged, gray and slow, but its eyes were gold. The bobcat's muzzle was silver. One eye clouded, yet it recognized her. and climbed without hesitation onto the log.
You came back. I was so afraid you wouldn't. You are older. So am I.
Emily lifted the wooden box and opened it. Inside was only smooth cedar and the faint scent of her grandfather's study.
For his ashes. I'll bring him here when it's time.
She pressed the box to her chest and let the tears come. The bobcat stayed, a silent sentinel, until dusk. Every morning that summer, Emily went to the clearing. The bobcat came slower now, but it always came.
The log feels heavier this year. Like it's carrying more than just us. Grandpa would have loved this. He always said you were part of the woods, not a pet.
The old cat blinked slowly, a deliberate, silent answer.
I am scared of the future, of not coming back. What if I can't keep this?
On the last afternoon, she sat with the wooden box in her lap, the sky already turning gold.
I promise I'll come back someday. I'll bring his ashes here. This is where he belongs.
The bobcat rested its cloudy eye on her for a long moment, then slowly rose to its feet. Without a sound, it turned and walked into the darkening pines, its tail the last thing to vanish. Emily did not call it back. The promise was spoken, and the forest had heard. The years stacked like notebooks. In her dorm room, among textbooks and coffee cups, the small wooden box remained.
It's still empty, but some days it feels heavier than others.
She wrote letters she never mailed, addressed to the clearing, to the bobcat. One said, "I am afraid you've forgotten the log. I am afraid the clearing is gone." Another, "I dreamed of the clearing last night. The log was gone. The ferns had swallowed everything." In the dream, she walked through a silent, overgrown wood, the sky a pale gray, and the bobcat was nowhere.
What if he's already gone? What if I waited too long?
The box on her desk grew heavier each day, its hollowness a quiet accusation.
I still have his ashes. The promise is still there.
And somewhere beneath the city noise, she could almost hear the wind through the pines, pulling her back. On her 20th birthday, a letter arrived. Her grandmother's handwriting shook on the envelope. "The cabin must be sold. There are things left for you. Come when you can."
It's time. The waiting is over. Tomorrow I'll take the box.
She drove alone down roads lined with pines, the box on the passenger seat, the promise a steady hum beneath her ribs. The cabin sat in a pool of still light, the porch weathered, the windows dark. She pushed open the door. Dust swirled in the sunbeams, and the silence was absolute.
It's just a house now. The woods will know what to do with the rest.
She did not unpack. Carrying the box, she walked the old path, now overgrown but still familiar under her feet.
Please be there. Please still be alive.
She stepped into the clearing. The log was still there. The ferns were heavy with silence, and she waited. The clearing held its breath. Emily sat on the log, the box in her lap, and listened to the old silence. Then the ferns trembled. An old, grizzled face pushed into the light, one eye cloudy, the other still sharp as flint. The bobcat limped into the clearing, slower than she remembered, but its amber eyes found her and held.
You survived. All these years, and you are still here.
Without a sound, the wildcat climbed onto the far end of the log, just as it always had, and settled into its place. Its one clouded eye still reflected the sky, but the other, golden and steady, never left her face.
Nothing has changed. Except everything. We grew up, the log stayed, and the wild kept its word.
She didn't reach out, didn't call its secret name. The rules remained, and the distance was full of everything they'd ever needed. The old cat blinked, once, slow, deliberate, and in that blink was the whole history of their summers, kept safe. And they sat there, two lives grown alongside each other, holding the silence until the stars pricked the sky. Emily looked from the box to the bobcat's cloudy eye, and slowly lifted the lid.
This is for Grandpa. He always said you belonged here.
She scooped a handful of the fine gray ash and held it out toward the evening light. A breeze stirred the clearing, and she let the ashes fall, a pale stream dissipating into gold. The bobcat's ears turned forward, its good eye tracking the particles as they swirled upward. Emily's hand trembled, but she didn't stop until the box was empty, each handful an offering. The ashes caught the last sun, glittering like a final gift to the woods that had held them both.
He's here now, right where he wanted to be.
The bobcat remained motionless, its cloudy eye reflecting the drifting specks, a silent witness. And when the last speck vanished, she closed the box, empty but now filled with something else. The old cat gathered its legs underneath, the movement slow and deliberate, joints stiff with years. It looked at Emily, one gold eye blazing in the twilight, and for a heartbeat, the years collapsed. She did not reach out, did not speak, only nodded, her throat too full for any promise. Then the bobcat turned and stepped off the log into the deep ferns without a sound. Its tail slipped last through the shadows, and the dark swallowed it whole. Emily sat motionless, the empty box clasped in her lap, the wind the only voice in the clearing. She had kept her word. The woods had kept its, and that was enough.
It was real, all of it. And it's still here, even if he's gone.
When the first stars broke through the pines, she still hadn't moved. The clearing held her, and she let it. The silence full of every summer that had come before. By sunrise, the cabin was quiet. Emily packed the last of her things, the empty box wrapped in a sweater inside her bag. She stepped onto the porch one last time, the wood creaking under her boots, the forest holding its breath. On the porch floor, just beneath her grandfather's empty rocking chair, lay a single dark claw. She knelt and picked it up, its slight weight a familiar anchor in her palm.
Just like the one I found when I was 12. He was here. He left this.
For a moment, she stood, the claw held against her heart, then placed it gently on the rocking chair where her grandfather once sat. She didn't say goodbye. The woods already knew. The car rumbled to life and pulled away, shrinking down the dirt road until the cabin was just another shadow among the pines. On the empty porch, the claw remained, a silent sign that the wild still walked those woods, and always would. And somewhere deep in the ferns, an old bobcat blinked slowly, then vanished into the green for the last time.